So let me start with number one, and it is the most boring thing, okay? This is not, a lot of people, when they jump in the Bible, they want to look at Revelations, they want to look at the persecution and history and miracles of Acts, and you go to church and pastor's like, we're going to talk about Romans, and you're like, oh, this is so boring. But it's a great foundation to start with where I'm going to start here today, and that is your messaging. Now, when I talk about your messaging, a lot of pastors and church leaders will think tagline, slogan, catchphrase, even values, mission statement. These are not your core brand message. Your brand message is how you want to be known. It's the verbal statements of how you want to be known. Okay? And Easter is one of the exceptions where you may alter a little bit your brand messaging. So if you're a church that wants to be a church that makes disciples who makes disciples, if you just broadcast that out into the community, you're going to sound like a cult. You're going to sound like insiders. Nobody's waking up in the morning, dragging their feet out of bed, making that cup of coffee just to wake up to be made a disciple. No one's asking that. You're already derelating yourself and separating yourself, making yourself not approachable because people aren't asking to be made disciples. Is it right? No. Is it wrong? Probably. But it is what it is, right? So we want to take that mission, those values that you have, and we want to filter it down, not change it, not even alter it, filter it into something that's understandable and communicatable to the people of your community that your church can serve. They cannot connect with you if they don't feel understood by you, okay? People don't go to church because they understand the church. They go to church because they feel understood by the church. And again, like I went on my rant a couple weeks ago, that is not to say that we bend the knee to culture. It's that we meet them where they are, okay? We show the tremendous love and understanding of what they've been through. And yes, we call them to repent. And we call them to live life in a faith community with us. But we need to speak in a way that they can understand and feel understood, okay? Jesus spoke in parables. We don't have to do that, okay? We want people to understand what we're saying. So a lot of misconceptions around Easter, especially when it comes to what you say about your church and how you promote your Easter service, the messaging we're going to get into, is that people already know what Easter is. Hey, it's come to church and have an Easter egg hunt, right? I'll ask people, hey, do you have any Easter plans? They'll say, oh yeah, we go to First Baptist. They got a great Easter egg hunt. It's a lot of fun for the kids, right? Well, guess what? If your church only just assumes people know what Easter is, that's what they're going to think your church does. You're just a place that's open for a few hours on a Sunday, one Sunday a year, to have an Easter egg hunt with the kids, okay? If you assume they know what Easter is and why it's important, you're making very bold assumptions, okay? Think about the Charlie Brown Christmas story, right? There was the story of, was it Charles Schultz or maybe it was someone else talking to the TV station, and they were like, why do we want to share the Jesus story in this Christmas special? And Charles Schultz, I'll just say for right now, said, well, if we don't, who will, right? And over time, we've let things like Easter become a culturally worldly story instead of the redemption story that we know it is. So don't assume people know what Easter is and why it's important. Number two, a lot of misconceptions churches make is they think that, and this is something I've been studying right now, so I'm still workshopping it in my head, but they think that getting someone to go to Easter is about convincing them to go to Easter. They think that, convincing them to come to our church this Easter. And what that does is, if I assume you're going to church on Easter, I'm just going to give you information about our church. I'm going to give you knowledge about what we're doing, but there's no hint of what they can benefit, what they'll remember, what they'll value, what they'll experience. It's just, what time and where do I go? Big, big mistake. You do not want to promote just information. People don't go to church because they don't know what time it is, right? No one's sitting around, I wish I knew which church to go to and what time to go. Nobody's sitting around saying that. So you want to make sure that you don't just promote information. What do you promote? I'm gonna share with you what that looks like here at the end of the segment. The other mistake I see churches making is they really just promote. Oh, I just got super excited. I'm gonna go on a little tangent here. They just promote the consumerist side of the church Easter service. Am I saying you shouldn't have an Easter egg hunt? I'm not saying that. Am I saying you shouldn't have a nice Easter brunch? I'm not saying that. Am I saying you should have a sunrise service? Actually, I am saying don't have a sunrise service. So there's only one type of person that goes to a sunrise service, and they're already saved and going to heaven. And if not, trust me, because I was that kid, they do not want to be at sunrise service. That's just me. I don't like sunrise service. You want to do sunrise service? That's fine. You know, I'm to a fault, the least judgmental person out here, but I hate sunrise services. It's just why? Oh, I hate sunrise services. Okay. So if you just promote what you're doing, you'll only be known for what you've done or what you're going to do. You're not known for the stories that have changed the lives through God. You don't have that but God knowledge. You're just the place that has the Easter egg hunt. All right? So if you just promote yourself as, hey, we're just another Easter egg hunt, guess what you sound like? You sound like the local community market that's also having an Easter egg hunt. You also sound like the school that's having a special Easter bunny photo opportunity, right? You're becoming an option and not the answer to what I want in my life. That just happens to be around Easter. So if you can get your messaging right, if you can position yourself in a way that you aren't just another Easter service, but you are the next logical and honestly, like emotional, like I feel like I need something new, that you're the next step in someone's life, not only will you see a bump in Easter attendance, but you'll see that bump flatten out sooner after Easter because they connected with you first for Easter possibly, or maybe reconnected with you for Easter, but even ahead of time, you've given them something to look forward to, something to expect that's beyond a Sunday morning attendance, okay? So if you clarify your messaging, if you clarify how you communicate your church to the community, you will not only see a boost in your attendance, you'll see a higher quality type of attendee. Now, this is where a lot of pastors, will disagree, and I'm okay disagreeing, okay? There is an almost immeasurable, if it's measurable, I haven't been able to figure it out yet, but there is an immeasurable quality in the type of guests, and specifically we'll look at Easter guests, okay? You've got the guest that is just there to check a box, and no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they ain't coming back. But there's also a quality of guest that is searching for something more. They are seeking God in their own way. They know they need to reconnect. They know they need something for their family. They want more stability, more peace, more purpose for their family. They want their kids to be better than they ever were. And if they come to your church, they are intent on being changed. They don't know how yet. They don't know that change comes via discipleship, but they just know they want something different. I consider that kind of person a higher quality guest, meaning someone you're more likely to connect with, engage with, plug in, and actually get them to take a next step versus the one that's going there through the motions, okay? Am I saying you only chase after the higher quality guests? Absolutely not. Am I saying that you ignore the people that just come to church on Sunday, Easter? Absolutely not. That's my parents, okay? Don't ignore those people either. What I'm saying is when you clarify your messaging to not only include what you do, but why you do it, not only what to expect this Sunday, but what to expect within an encounter with Jesus Christ, your creator, on a Sunday with us, you're naturally going to get people coming in, and they could even be planning just to be a one-timer. But when you communicate why and what to expect and the life change that's possible, they'll come in with a more open heart. And so let's talk about what you can do to really reach these people and get them ready to receive a word, not ready to go fetch eggs, not ready to go figure out what they're going to wear, get their Easter dress, not ready to figure out, okay, grandma's lunch is at 12. This church gets out at 11:30, so we got to hustle it out. We're going to leave. What do you call the Baptists that leave during the invitation? That was us sometimes. You have to understand how people live their lives and where Easter right now fits into their lives. And I'm going to give you a quick recap. Go back and watch episode 55 for a full in-depth recap of this. I'm just going to go through it really quick, okay? There is a triangle of people in your community. We call this the awareness triangle. And there are different levels of awareness of your church. The top level, which is about 3% of your community, are what we call church aware. Now, this number is approximate. It could be more if you're in the Bible Belt. It could be less if you're in an urban city, and people just don't think about that. They're surrounded by man-made objects. They're bombarded with man-made messages. Of course, they're not going to think about God, so they're not as church aware. These people are where most church marketing stops. Meaning, we know you're going to go to church. You just got to figure out which one to go to. Why not ours? Okay? If you do that, if you promote your Easter service, hey, we'd love to have you on Easter. We're going to have a fun Easter egg hunt, and we'll have the Easter bunny here. We'd love to see you Easter Sunday at 11 a.m. You're only going to resonate with 3% of your community. And I know the fact that you're watching this, you want to resonate with more. The next number we have is 17%. And this is what we call the spiritual aware. I'm just going to do quotes for aware. These people understand there's something wrong in their lives. There's something missing. There's something more. They used to be in church, but now they're not. But they still kind of believe in God. They're agnostic. They believe in some kind of creator. They might even think we're in a simulation. But they're aware that there is something greater than them. And quite possibly, the answers are greater than them. There's a higher power somewhere. Okay? So if you just tweak your church messaging from, hey, look at how great our church is, to, I know you're looking for something and Jesus is searching for you too, seeking you too, whatever your message is. Guess what? You've just 5 times, almost 6 times the number of people your message is going to resonate. Did that make sense? Did I explain that enough? If you just promote information, you're only reaching 3% of your community. But if you shift it to Jesus Christ is the answer and Easter is a great time to get to know him, 17%. You're now reaching 1 out of every 5 people in your community are now paying attention to your church just by tweaking the message. All right. We're not going to get too much into it, but again, episode 55, 20% are problem aware, meaning they have what a lot of church people call felt needs, right? They know there's something in their life that's wrong. They just don't know what the answer is. And 60% of people are unaware. Okay. That's another problem is a lot of churches go after these folks. God's not calling them yet. But these folks are sitting in the wings. Okay. And by the way, if you just do events and promotions and you only reach these people, you're probably not moving the needle forward in ministry, because these people aren't ready yet. They need to be educated. They need to be inspired. They need to see more of what Christianity is outside of social media. So you move them up to get them aware that their life shouldn't be like this, to get them aware that there is something greater than them, and to get them aware that the church is a faith community to belong and find your peace and purpose and stability. So this is what I'm saying. You have to consider this when you are planning your Easter and how to promote your Easter, which, by the way, I'm spending so much time on this because if you don't get this down, everything else I say today is useless. In fact, maybe I'll make a note. I'm going to start off the next segment by saying, hey, if you didn't watch this video, if you didn't watch the messaging video, don't watch this video. Because your website doesn't matter if it's only for the church aware. If I'm searching for something greater than myself and you just tell me all about your church and not where I fit into it or where my desires and needs fit into it, I'm not going to your church. And this is why so many churches just see the same people every year and don't actually see new people every year on Easter because they're only reaching the people that already know they exist. So one question I want you to consider, let me give you your homework now, what to do. I don't like calling it homework, but this is what to do. It doesn't have to take you more than 5 minutes. In fact, if it takes you more than 10 minutes, you're probably overthinking it. Number 1, you need to consider why someone would go to your church on Easter. Okay. Number 1, if they've never been to church, it's hard enough to go to church. Some of us have forgotten what it's like to not be Christian or even never knew what it was like to be in an unchurched home. Going to church is weird. You go in a building full of strangers that want to shake your hand. You sit around people you don't understand and maybe be told to shake their hands. They want to give you free coffee and donuts. There's kids running around. There's people having conversations. They're singing. I mean, imagine going to a movie theater and after the initial previews at the beginning of the movie, everyone stood up and started singing. That's what it's like going to church for some people. For the unchurched, they're going to see something, experience something, feel something out, and everyone stands up around them and starts singing. Kind of weird, dude. Just let's not kid ourselves, okay? From their perspective, it's weird. So why would they go on Easter when there's going to be the most number of people there? Why would they go to your egg hunt when they've got one they can be more anonymous with? They don't have to sign up for, they don't have to register their kids for, they don't have to dress up for. Look, going to Easter is not a given. If you treat it like a given, you're only reaching 3% of your community. Raise the bar for yourself. Number two, why would someone leave their normal Easter home, not church home, Easter home, for your church? And I'm not saying the goal of Easter promotions is to steal people from other churches. I will tell you, though, that those people, there's a good chance they go to that church only on Easter because that church can only serve them on Easter. That church only has kids programs on Easter, only does kids events on Easter, only preaches good sermons on Easter, only does good music on Easter. And the rest of the year, they're just very, God will move in spite of us. Worst mindset you can have as a church. We don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be excellent. God will move in spite of us. So why should they not go to their home church, the one that they've been going to for the last 18 years? And why should they go to your church instead? And the most important question to ask, okay? Because this is where you get out of the 3%, and this is where you get to the 17%. And by the way, on Easter, most problem aware is just, what do I do with my kids? Okay. So you can reach those people with your Easter events. But the biggest way to get the spiritually aware, and that's what we talked about, the higher quality of guests, is to speak about what is the result, experience, life-changing opportunity that awaits them at Easter. Now, I'm not saying your Easter promotion should be, hey, come to church so you can surrender your life to Christ and live abundantly, and we'd love to pray the prayer with you. No. But it's simply understanding where people are coming from. Look, the world is upside down right now, and logic is a rarity. But there's one thing we can count on, and that's community. And at our church, we want to have a good community on Easter, so we want to invite you. If you don't have a place to go, or maybe you want to try something new, check out our church. On Sunday morning, we'll have a breakfast. You're welcome to break bread with us. I wouldn't say break bread. And then we'll talk about our faith and look at what it looks like, why we celebrate Easter. We'll have some stuff for the kids, and talk about what they're the kids. And you see, so you're talking in a language that someone can understand that's outside the church. You're giving reasons of what people can expect. And by the way, you help them feel understood because, they may feel tired. I know I feel tired of some churches too, where I'm like, I don't know how to live in the world today. And you're just telling me you're just walking me through the minor prophets. Like, valuable teaching, very hard to put practically for me. So some people don't go to church because they just don't feel properly fed. And that's not always their fault. Boy, I'm stepping on a lot of toes today. Okay. So what can they experience as a result? 1, 2, 3 real quick is number one, with your Easter invite, your messaging, your planning, what you do on your website and your social media. Start with where people are right now. Are you looking for a new place for Easter? Are you planning to go to church on Easter, but want something for your kids as well? Hey, do you plan on being hungry on Easter morning? We got breakfast for you, right? Or maybe a church. We got a church that meets on Saturday. We've got a church that meets on Wednesday nights for their main gathering. It's like, hey, traveling for Easter? Great. You can go to church, have an Easter service, and it doesn't have to be on Sunday. Enjoy the time with your family, right? Meet them where they are. Don't just say, look at how great our church is and look at all the awesome things. Don't you want to be a part of us? You're just going to reach the 3% with that. But if you say life is hard, and I know during this time, God's talking to a lot of people, and if you've been feeling that pull at your heart, this is it. This is the opportunity. We're going to talk about what it means to live in an upside down world. And it's not them, it's us that's upside down. So you start with that, then you tell them why they should care about your church, and then you tell them what they can expect as a result. What's the benefit of going to your church? On Easter Sunday, we're going to talk about why we were created, why Jesus died, why we celebrated all this. And at the end of it, you're going to have a better idea of how to lead your family into the rest of the year, because summer's coming up. Kids are going to be running wild. Then you got back to school, and then it's holiday season all over again. Let's pause, reflect, and enjoy our family together. Doesn't it sound nice just to take a break for a second? Take a break with us, right? I'm literally just, whatever. It's not perfect, okay? But that's already better than, look at our helicopter egg drop. I'm not saying helicopter egg drops are bad, but if that's the only reason people are going to your church, they ain't coming back because you ain't doing that every Sunday. But if you can speak to their needs, their desires, their hurts, there's a good chance when they come to you, they're already thinking about coming back.